What up? What up? This is RJ Fantasy Football Talk. You know what it is. We're back. It's been a couple weeks, but hey, we hit. You know what time it is. I'm Rodney. It's Jay. What's going on, man?
Hey, not much. Ready for another exciting week talking running backs, which for me is still the most important position on your squad, only because it's the most precious position. So I'm ready to get it going.
Okay.
How
I
are
mean,
you?
hey,
What's
I'm
been
good,
going
man.
on? Did you have a nice Juneteenth?
Yes, I did.
Father's
Juneteenth, good
Day?
Father's Day.
Uh huh.
Went out a little bit with the wife and child. You know, we didn't do much, but nowadays I don't do much anyway because I try to stay in the house.
Word, word.
It's too crazy out in this world nowadays. So I do a little shopping, come home. I think I
Nothing wrong
took
with
me a nap that day, and I just chilled for real.
that.
I ain't do much for real, but
A lazy Father's Day. No honey-do
hey,
list. So that's what's up.
no. I told my daughter, I said, ask your mama, don't ask me. So she said, I ain't gotta ask you nothing. I can't ask you nothing, Dad. I said, no, you can't ask me nothing. Ask your mama.
Daddy's off work today.
Exactly. So yeah, but she
Yeah, that's what's up.
once it hit 8 o'clock, she kept calling me. So it was back to normal at that point. So I knew it
Okay.
was good. So, but I'm ready to rock, man. You know, I'm ready to get this thing going. We got a little bit of news, not much.
Yeah.
Talk about a little bit. Danny Snyder missed a court date today,
Yeah.
so Congress has subpoenaed him to show up. It's a whole big mess. I don't even know what to say. Whether you're in that area, as far as
The funniest part about this whole thing to me is Roger Goodell made sure he clarified, I don't have the power to basically kick Dan Snyder out of the league. I'm like, yeah, you don't have the power officially, but you know, you can lean on support. You can lean on some folks and make things happen. I'm honestly surprised that they haven't hit that push from other NFL owners because it's a bad look, and it's not like it's getting better. He sat out for a while and whatever, but it's like this is still it's a ship that's sinking, and it's
Mhm.
sinking because of Daniel Snyder. They need to highly encourage him to step away. But
Well, I kind of felt like didn't his wife kind of take over
yeah,
a little bit?
okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's still in
Yeah,
the family, and
like
I feel
hey,
like
look. You let your wife drive your car, it's still your car.
you're right
so
about that. You're absolutely right. I
all
think
right.
it's gonna affect the Commanders in a lot of ways
Yeah.
because they want a new stadium. And I think they
Right.
got some land. They brought some land in Virginia, but I think a lot of the people voted that they didn't want the team to come there
Right.
because of that reputation. So
Mm-hmm.
they saying, hey, we don't want you here, and they saying a lot of places don't want them to build stadiums
Right.
there. So I think that's going to affect how they really feel about him. I think they really need to get him out. And I compare the situation to like Kraft and like other owners who have did wrong but got slapped on the wrist.
Right.
But he quickly penalized players for being for allegations. So
Yeah.
I just feel like I mean me personally I try to stay away from stuff like this. But they got to do something about it. Honestly, are they gonna do anything about it? Probably
Nah,
not.
I doubt it.
Um, they gonna probably get them a fine, slap on the wrist, tell them don't do it again, and they're just gonna sweep it under the rug. So
right.
that's that's what's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
we'll
We'll
see.
see what Congress gets involved, where that
Yeah.
goes. But
So
welcome my mom to the show. Hey, how you doing? Glad you could join us. She, the only reason she tuned in is because we're doing running backs, and she kind of knows what's happening.
yeah, I mean, of
So
course.
the one time that she's like, "Y'all don't talk about the Colts," I think she has the feeling that we're going to talk about the Colts today. So
I mean, we might just skip over him because
skip.
we already know what's gonna happen. But
Yeah,
no,
right,
we're gonna
right.
do that. Gronk retires again. Is he done for good? Is he coming back mid-season?
Yeah,
What's your feeling on that?
the word on the Twitter sphere is it would be no surprise if Tom Brady calls Gronk in the middle of the season or maybe next year and he comes back to play. I think he's out for now, but Tampa Bay, I'm not trusting Tom Brady or Gronkowski because y'all fooled me with Tom Brady retirement. I ain't falling for it with Gronkowski. I'm not drafting him.
I
I'm
mean,
not
please
drafting him
no.
right now, but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
but nah, yeah, he's one of the greatest tight ends ever. So if he's
Yeah,
done, then it's been a great career. Hey, he won me a couple of championships back in the days. So
yeah. I
nothing but
mean, he.
love
I
for Gronk.
mean, I'm not mad at it. I mean, if he retires, that's
Yeah,
good. But we'll see. He like to play that guessing game, so we
yeah.
don't know. Another situation in the league, Watson. He settles 20 of the 24 civil suits. I don't know what that means for him. I don't know if that's going to give him less time.
Okay,
I don't know what they're doing with this guy. They
that
need
was
to
going to
make a
be my
decision.
question for you. Do you think it helps him get a shorter penalty, or is it you settled 83% of your sexual harassment suits, so you know you're kind of guilty, and he gets a long one? I don't know how that works
I
out.
kind of look at it this way.
Yeah.
You have to. It's kind of like the Dan Snyder and him. If you put that into comparison, you gotta discipline
Right.
Dan Snyder if you're gonna discipline Watson.
You
So
would
if you
think.
don't discipline Snyder, you can't discipline Watson because both of them are up for allegations of similar things,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Hey,
So
Robert Kraft was doing the exact same thing,
and
but
he got a slap on the
but
wrist.
he only had one case as opposed to 24. So
That's true. That's
there
true.
is the difference.
But Dan
So,
Snyder has
but yeah,
cases on top of cases.
now Dan Snyder's a whole nother issue. He
So
running neck and neck as
yeah.
far as whatever. Yeah,
So if you don't do anything to Dan Snyder, or either you give him a slap on the wrist, you got to get Deshaun
yeah,
Watson a slap on the wrist, because do you look into the fact that he paid him off, he wasn't criminally charged, and he sat out a year already. So do you kind of give
but
him less time for that, or what?
well, technically though, the year he set out was on him because he was having a contract dispute with the Texans.
That's
So,
true.
so for me, I don't count that at all.
Okay.
I doubt. Well, I tell you this, I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL saw it differently and
Okay.
used it as time served. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm like, dude, that was you. Well, it wasn't you because they weren't gonna sign him anyway. I mean, they weren't gonna let him
Yeah.
play anyway. But for me, I don't think it should make a difference. Cause I mean, hey, he settled 20 cases and he still has 4 cases that we know of out there. So it's still a lot of sexual harassment he's facing. So I think he still gets a fairly lengthy suspension, maybe a little less. But guess what? He's still not on my fantasy football teams. I'm
Not,
not
not.
dealing with it.
I mean, I don't know. I ain't touching the man. If he gets
Yeah.
6 or more games, he can't be on my
Mm.
team because that's more than half the season. So
Certainly not in redraft. I'll say
no.
that much.
And last one is, which is basically, it's a fantasy news. Don't draft OBJ.
Oh,
He's likely out to October. So don't draft him.
well,
Just leaving it at that. So
for me, that was just a no go. I felt sorry for when he got injured because once he did, I was like, well, he ain't playing for a while.
yeah,
So
you seen it. So
yeah,
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 definitely.
yeah. I'll say one other bit of news, sad news, for the Ravens family. They had 2 deaths they had to deal with, basically on the same day, and both fairly young. I know I'm getting older because Goose passed away at the age 55, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah, that was
he's
young.
that's young. I remember him from his sideline reporting. He's always a really good dude. And then much even younger. What is he? Jalen Ferguson was I forget 25 or something like that. I
26.
think 26.
26.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
way too young to go.
Way
So
too young.
yeah,
Oh, have
Ravens
mercy.
hit hard today. So
So
prayers for their families.
definitely.
Yeah, man.
But let's get it going, man.
Is it time for running backs? Cause I'm
Time
ready.
for, it's time for running backs. We're gonna start with the tier one.
Go for it.
Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, and I just want to put this out here. I didn't want him in this tier, but my good brother on the other end wanted him in here, Christian McCaffrey. And I want to start off by saying I'm not drafting Christian McCaffrey this year.
Right.
He's not going to be on my team at any point. I'm in 6 leagues,
I'm not mad at
so
that.
he's not going to be on my team. He's missed 23 games in the last 2 years
Yeah.
for hamstrings, ankles, shoulders, and thighs. I'm just letting you know. I drafted him last year. He burnt me last year, and I ain't doing it. So it's way up to you. I've been watching this man get drafted in the last week in not redraft, but dynasty leagues
Yeah.
or whatever you want to call it. number two. I have seen him listed as a number two running back, maybe even number one with Jonathan Taylor, which is insane to me.
Now I'm gonna give people a pass in redraft. In Dynasty, there's no possible way I'm going that high on Christian McCaffrey because he's been in the league for a minute now. So running backs have a steep cliff off of which they fall, and considering his injury history, Dynasty, he is much lower. Redraft, if you're feeling lucky, I understand, and that you're right. I'm the one who wanted him in this tier one. You did not.
I did not.
And I'm not gonna lie, I've been burnt. You said you got burnt by him last year. I've been burnt by him the last 2 years. So I know the pain of having Christian McCaffrey on this team. But to me, he's still a tier one guy. But I agree with you 100%. He's a tier one guy. I'm not drafting at all because I'm way too scared of having him on my squad just because I've been hurt too much. But he's still a tier one guy. Welcome Nita to the show. Let's see. We'll see if we can help you out with that volume. My favorite on this list, and I know, well, maybe yours. I don't know because you said you might go with old reliable. But my favorite on this list for certain is Jonathan Taylor. So shout out to the Colts. They've got a workhorse this year. Do you know how many carries Jonathan Taylor had last year?
No, I do, but I don't remember because I didn't have him last year, so
I
don't
did,
know.
and it worked out great for me. He had let me pull up the exact number because I don't want to lie to you, but it was 400 and something, and the next closest to him had 300. So for me, it's all about how many carries you get, and he's a workhorse guy. The only guy that's gonna be better than him in carries is probably the guy that you like, number one.
Well, I'm gonna technically on my list I have Derrick Henry because I'm gonna
Yeah.
just be real with you. I have it was a couple years where I totally disrespected Derrick
You did. We
Henry.
both did. We did.
And I said that he wasn't a number one because he couldn't catch out of the backfield. Now, the last 2 years, I have really regretted my opinion about him because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
this is the same guy who has went over 2,000 yards. And let me just put a stat out there for y'all. This man had 937 yards and 10 touchdowns in 8 games last year. If you want to do 17 games, he got over 2,000 yards pretty much.
Yeah.
And 20 touchdowns. And that's more yards than Jonathan Taylor. That's more touchdowns than Jonathan Taylor. So even though he doesn't catch out the backfield, he's still, in my eyes, the number one running back. And I'm not a big proponent of drafting running backs early anyway. That's not my thing. I'm more of a receiver guy more than anything because of the receptions and, the yards and touchdowns and all that stuff. But I'm more of a fan of Eckler, if anything. I'm a huge Eckler
I'm a big
fan.
Eckler guy.
So
He is rightfully in our top tier. Listen.
So me personally, I'm definitely, but I definitely respect Jonathan Taylor. I think he deserves to be one or two, however you look at it. But he definitely up there. He's gonna have a monster year anyway. Just he's Jonathan Taylor. So let's be real. So at the end of the day, I like this list except McCaffrey. Um, and I'm gonna keep saying that McCaffrey. And it's another thing. Saquon doesn't get the same hype as McCaffrey gets,
Right.
and they both been injured the last 2 years. So I'm
Right.
trying to figure out how can you praise one but not praise the other when both of them been hurt. That's what I don't understand.
I am for neither. I'm with you there, but they're both banned from my team. By the way, I just want to correct myself. I said Jonathan Taylor had four. He had 323 rushes last year. What I was remembering was going back to credit Derrick Henry.
Thank you.
If you prorate he was the one that had 400.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor had 323. So, but the point is, they're both workhorses. If you can get either one, you should. I'm with you. I also have Najee Harris high on my list.
I
I
like
know
Najee
people
too.
called me a Najee Harris hater last year because I said he wouldn't get 1,000 yards. Wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong. However, this year Najee Harris, I might even make an argument that I go Najee Harris before I go Derrick Henry because youth. And hey, Derrick Henry has shown he's barely human, so I don't think he's falling off a cliff anytime soon, like running backs do. But I'm still gonna probably go Jonathan Taylor 1, Najee Harris 2, and then I probably go Derrick Henry. Well, not probably. What am I lying? I'm going Derrick Henry. In fact, Derrick Henry might convince me to go higher. But those are for me the top three. If you have any of those, you are set at running back.
All I'm saying is
and I love
this.
Eckler too. I think.
All I'm saying is this. Go watch Derrick Henry Instagram stories.
Yeah.
That would change your mind.
No,
This
no,
man
no.
is,
I've seen him. He is.
this man is insane
Yo.
and crazy. I'm telling you, the stuff he does when he's working out is insane. I'm just keeping it real with you.
So.
I mean, I love Eckler though. I think Eckler is just different.
Eckler is a wide receiver playing. Eckler is what I thought Najee Harris was going to be last year.
Yep.
But Najee showed he can run and catch out the backfield, so he gets both best of both worlds. Speaking of Najee Harris, welcome Angelo to the show. Steelers fan, and yeah, Nita, we did talk to Sean Watson earlier. Yeah, and yeah, there we go. Same thing we said about him last year, but I guess 20 less sexual harassment suits if that makes you feel more comfortable for your fantasy football drafting. Not me.
20 less.
20 less. All right, okay. So that's our tier 1 rankings. Let's go ahead and hit tier 2.
All right, so tier 2 is
tier 2.
I got Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Leonard Fournette, and Aaron Jones. I got a few question marks. I like this list, but the one question mark I have is Alvin Kamara. He could be possibly facing up to 6 games suspension. It hasn't came down yet, so I don't know what he's going to get. But he could be suspended, though.
Basically, his court case isn't going to be up till August, they said. And the way the NFL typically does it is they don't put down the suspensions until your legal stuff has been put out the way. So for me, that's a no because you don't really know what you're going to get. I see it highly unlikely that he has less than 4 game suspension. I'm with you. I think 6 is probably more likely. They say he didn't throw the first punch, which I guess helps you out in this situation, but need more details. He belongs in our tier 2 rankings because he's that good. But for me personally, I view it the same way as I do Deshaun Watson. It's just too much uncertainty there for me to put that high of a draft pick on him.
Definitely. The one I love out of this whole list is Aaron Jones.
Yes.
I am not a big fan of the Packers in general as far as fantasy this year, just because of the whole Devontae Adams leaving type thing. So I'm not a fan of. But I think the one person that benefits from Devontae Adams leaving is Aaron Jones, because when Aaron Jones is there by himself, and I think he gets majority of the catches out of the backfield.
He has.
So he's going to benefit a lot in the receiving game, slot game, receiving game out of the backfield. He's going to be a monster this year. I think he may be ranked too low for real, to be honest with you.
He potentially I could easily see him being in tier 1.
Yeah.
So my running back mind wants to lower Aaron because a couple of years ago I had Aaron Jones as my top target for running backs, and I partially wanted to grade him a little bit lower this year just because how good I think AJ Dillon's going to be. But to your point, without Devontae Adams there, I think Aaron Jones is going to be a solid receiver as well as running back. So I'm with you. I think he has a monster year. Here's a little trivia for you in the audience. Please play along with us. Who had more rushing yards, Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon last year?
A.J. Dillon.
A.J. Dillon.
That's easy.
Which is crazy to me because a lot of the knock on A.J. Dillon was that he was the backup. He was, but my man was a monster with it, and I think he had
Yeah.
AJ Dillon had 812 yards rushing. Aaron Jones had 799. Um, I think Dillon is going to also lead the team in rushing this year, and Aaron Jones is going to be that rusher slash. He's going to be like Austin Eckler
Eckler.
light,
Yeah.
not
That's what I
quite
was
to
about to
the
say.
not quite to the extent that Austin Eckler is, but very close to it. So I'm with
Yeah.
you. I love him on this list. The other person I really like on this list, and we've had
Yeah.
a love and hate relationship with him, is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon
Yeah.
is a guy who has come on very late in a lot of years where the first part of the year you're not getting anything, and then suddenly you start getting points. So it's
Exactly.
one of those things where you don't know how much you can rely on. But I think the way this Bengals offense is doing, especially coming out the Super Bowl, I think this is going to be a big Joe Mixon year. Maybe his best year ever. So he's a lot higher on my list of running backs. He's probably my second or third favorite guy in this tier. Aaron Jones is
I,
my first.
I like Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Now the one person that I have not been a fan of
Uh,
is Nick Chubb,
right.
and Nick Chubb has grown on me for some reason. I really I lump Nick Chubb and Derek Henry in the same conversation as far
yeah.
as disrespecting them because to me they just want the back that I would
Yeah.
choose. But actually, I like Nick Chubb now. Nick Chubb
You're a
is
fan. He won you
I'm a
over.
fan. He won me over. I ain't gonna lie. He's a good back. He just don't catch out the backfield, but he don't need to because he's just that good. He's gonna get a lot of yards regardless. So
Yeah.
in the way they run their offense, they run the ball a whole lot. So he gets a lot of carries. So if you need a bell cow running back that
He's that
you
dude.
trying to get, he's one of them definitely. And another one is Leonard Fournette, who that guy has disappointed you many a times. Um,
The year he got traded, I had Leonard Fournette in literally every team I drafted and lived to regret it.
yeah.
But I think this year he turns. Hey, they got rid of Ronald Jones. I think is solidly his backfield, and also benefiting from Godwin being out at the beginning of the
Yes.
year. I think that's going to help Leonard Fournette a lot. So yeah, I'm big on him too.
Okay, I like that. I see you coming back around to Leonard Fournette. You was kind of upset with him earlier.
we had a year hiatus where I hated
Okay,
his guts, but he can get back on my list now.
okay, I'm good with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We can move on to the third tier, which is a bigger group.
Yeah.
Some of the guys could possibly move up to tier two if they get the opportunity. DeAndre Swift, Javante Williams, Elijah Mitchell, Antonio Gibson, Zeke Elliott, Barkley, James Conner, J.K. Dobbins, David Montgomery. Who do you like on this list the most?
Who do I like up here the most? Well, if you've been a fan of R&J for a long time, you know David Montgomery is my dude. And I love him again this year. Mainly because the Chicago Bears are awful, and quite frankly, they don't have a lot of talent other than Justin Fields, Darnell Mooney, and David Montgomery. And so I think he has last year I was calling for David Montgomery to have a career year. He got injured, which kind of ruined that prediction a little bit. So if he's healthy, I think he's better. But honestly, I actually might like someone better than him in this tier, and that's DeAndre Swift, another guy who was hurt last year.
Ooh, okay,
And
so okay,
so
I see.
we saw some glimpses from DeAndre Swift before he got hurt that he is another team with no talent, right? so
No talent. I mean,
Amon St. Ra is good. I
yeah,
think TJ Hawkins is good. Also hurt a lot of last year. But
yeah.
DeAndre Swift, I think, is going to be a major part of the offense. And this is going back to guys that catch out the backfield. And David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift are running backs like that, where you know they can not only do it with carries, but they can give you that PPR, which is viable. But those are my top two guys.
Um, I like J.K. Dobbins. I think
Yeah,
he was on to something before he got hurt last year. Plus, they're a heavy, heavy, heavy run
yeah.
team, so they run the ball quite a bit.
almost exclusively.
Yes, like it's from the quarterback down to the last running back on the roster. They're gonna run the football.
Yeah.
I was huge fan of Javonte Williams last year.
Yeah.
Um, I'm still a huge fan of Javonte Williams. I just feel like with them re-signing Melvin Gordon, that kind of takes a shot at him because I feel like he would have been the bell cow running back if they wouldn't have re-signed Gordon.
Yeah.
But I guess they need Gordon as a backup. I don't know about that, but I see a 60-40 split between the two going to Javonte Williams, but I still don't like Gordon being there. But, this might be a homer pick. But I think Elijah Mitchell is going to be really, really good this year.
Right.
He had 963 yards and 5 touchdowns in 11 games last year. He missed 6 games.
Yeah.
If he would have played a full season, he would have been well over 1,200 yards and maybe 10 touchdowns. So I'm saying, and they saying he's the number one guy. I feel like run-oriented offense, and I think we're going to definitely use him a lot. I think he's big. I think he's big in this lineup. He's going to be a surprise to a lot of people. Question for you. If Saquon, are you taking Saquon?
I don't care who you put on this list. The answer is not Saquon, but go ahead. Ask anyway.
Are you taking Saquon or are you taking Zeke?
Zeke. We always think alike because I was going to ask you a Zeke question coming up, so you beat me to the punch.
Okay.
I'm Zeke. I thought Zeke had a bad year last year until I looked back at the stats. I was like, you know what?
He had 1,000 yards.
Zeke wasn't that bad. I mean, he wasn't the Zeke a lot of us have grown to expect because Zeke is usually, if he's not when he's close to the top. He ain't that guy, but he's enough of it. Like I said, he got 1,000 yards rushing. He had 287 receiving. He had 12 touchdowns total. I think he's gonna be. I'm gonna go ahead and on a limb and say I think he probably even does better this year. So
some came out today. They said that he was hurt last year.
Yeah.
He's fully healthy. And they say he's ready to go. They say that he's the bell cow. They say he's gonna get all the opportunities. He's pretty much running the football.
Yeah.
I like Zeke. I had Zeke last year.
Yeah.
So Zeke did well for me most games. So I'm not gonna sit here and say that I don't like him. I'm not a fan of Saquon. I mean, I said it earlier. Saquon, he stayed hurt, but I'm not going. Like I said, if you're gonna crucify Saquon, you might as well crucify Christian McCaffrey. So
they are both in that same boat for me. I'm with you.
Yeah, so
they are both do not draft.
Now I will say this: if Saquon's sitting around 6th round, 7th round for me, then maybe I might take a swing at it. But he's not going to be in the first couple rounds for me.
Here's my knock on Saquon: not just his health, but his team is just awful. I mean, like
quarterback is
god awful. Well, the quarterback is awful, but the whole team is not good. There is not a lot of talent on that Giants team. They are going to be dead last in that division, and it's not even funny how awful they are. So, if I have to pick between drafting, if they're both available, let's say, like you said, 3rd or 4th round, and I have to flip a coin, a terrible coin. I think I'd rather have CMC than Saquon. But realistically, it is probably more likely that I have Saquon on my team this year just because I still think CMC goes 1st round in most drafts, and I'm not doing that. You might actually have a chance to get Saquon in 2nd or 3rd round, which makes it maybe. For me, still, nah. I have too many guys ahead of him on my list that I've already drafted my 2 running backs before Saquon's taken. So, for me, both of those guys are somebody else's problem.
James Conner, does he repeat last year? Or does he come
down? We were not
him?
high on James Conner last year. We badmouthed him horribly. We badmouthed him. No one ever accused me of being a James Conner hater. They said I was a Najee Harris hater, which I was. Technically, kind of, a little bit.
I mean, you still are. I mean, you
I love not. Me and Najee, we like this now. We best friends.
Okay, I got you. Okay. I'm
But
good with that.
I was a serious James Conner hater because I was like, he's not gonna make it through the season, um, and I was not right there. So
You
I
sure
like
won't.
James Conner this year, and there's no Chase Edmonds there, so I think James Conner can repeat last year's performance.
17
I'm
touchdowns. That's what he
That's a
had.
lot. I know. I
A
mean,
lot
but
of touchdowns.
DeAndre Hopkins is gonna be gone for how long?
6 games.
Yeah. Who else is? And there's no Christian Kirk, as if that was a thing, but he's not
Yeah.
there. So I'm looking around at the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm like, James Conner's gonna get some work this year.
James Conner. Okay.
I'm
I,
in. I'm all in.
I guess, man. I mean, I don't know. It's and this is not hate. I just think I don't.
You are a
I
hater though, but
no, I'm not seeing.
but
I'm not seeing 17 touchdowns.
that's a lot of
That's
touchdowns.
a lot of
That's
touchdowns.
a
I
lot of
still think he's
touchdowns.
gonna. He has no competition in the backfield
Yeah.
for carries, so I think he's gonna. My only concern is does he kind of revert back to that last couple of years in Pittsburgh
Right.
because he got banged up a lot and
Yeah.
he didn't want to play as much. So do you?
That's the
I
kind
don't
of thing that scares me because, like I said, they're gonna have to use him a lot more,
know.
and I'm like, I hope his body can hold up. but if he can, I mean, the opportunity's there.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I like Gibson too. I just don't like Gibson's quarterback
He is the new
situation.
CMC.
Yeah,
It
that's what
wasn't
they
that the
said.
wasn't that the word all of last year?
I still think he is, man. I think
No.
he's that talented. Not CMC as far as
Uh,
production wise, but I think he can be as productive as CMC.
he
They
can
just don't.
be, and his coach said he was gonna be until the games happened. Then it was like, wait, no. And so that's
It's
my only knock on Antonio. I love Antonio Gibson. I think he's really good. But it's like, okay, before it was he's gonna be the bell cow, he's gonna be CMC, and now all we're hearing is how they're getting all these other guys, and it's gonna be a shared workload. I'm like, well, that's the
that's
exact
terrible.
opposite
That is so
of
terrible.
CMC.
Oh, that is terrible. They're doing
Yeah,
that man wrong. He is a really good back, and if
yeah,
he
he's
played anywhere
awesome.
else,
He's awesome.
he would be the number one guy. I just don't get it, man. I don't know, but
Yeah.
out of this list, like who do you see possibly going up to a tier two?
Oh, I think a lot of these guys in this tier can go up. Starting with the guys I started with before, DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery, uh, Ezekiel Elliott, because he's been that before. And in fact, I think all those guys could potentially boost themselves up to like tier one ish status. Emphasis
Okay,
on the ish,
I
but
mean that's a big issue there.
that's a lot of ish. But
That's a lot of issue there, Lord.
but here, think about it. At this point, at this tier, we're all talking around second, early third round guys, and so if you have any of these guys as your second running back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I mean, except for maybe Saquon Barkley, but any of these other guys as your second running back, like you said, even J.K. Dobbins, like you said, it was only a couple of years ago that Lamar Jackson ran for 1,000 yards and Mark Ingram ran for 1,000 yards. So it's very believable that a healthy J.K. Dobbins does that this year. So I'm I'm for a lot of guys in this grouping.
So you don't believe the hype what they saying about Saquon lining up in the
Okay,
slot
okay.
out wide. I mean, they saying he's a weapon. You don't believe none of
Here's
that.
the deal. We talked about how I've been burnt by a seat.
All right,
Yeah,
like,
they're both on my no list,
gotcha.
unless the price is right.
Unless the
Because
price is right.
anybody can be drafted if the price is right.
All right,
So we'll
I
see.
ain't mad at you. We got some. It's coming up soon, real soon.
Hey, we got a few drafts going up soon.
Yeah,
We got another long tier list. Let me hit this one.
you do your thing.
For our viewers, I'm going to go with these in alphabetical order. We've got Cam Akers for the Rams, AJ Dillon, we talked about before, Green Bay, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, our first Kansas City mention of the show, a guy who had a disappointing rookie year, Travis Etienne. In Jacksonville, Melvin Gordon, who we mentioned before, a rookie makes our list. Brees Hall, Damian Harris, my guy, Josh Jacobs with the Raiders, a surprise from last year, Cordero Patterson in Atlanta. Ezekiel Elliott's backup, Tony Pollard with the Cowboys, and Miles Sanders. A lot lower on this list than I think we had him a year ago. Who do you like? It's a long list. At this point, you kind of hoping
Um,
for someone to really stand out, but these guys are very similar.
so like, first I want to say this. I'm hearing a lot of hype about Brees Hall.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how much of that I believe. I mean, because the same hype was for Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
Yeah.
and we all see how
That did
that
not work
came
out.
out. But the one that I like is Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
I like him a whole lot. But I'm hearing other words of James Robinson being the three down back, being the number one guy. I think he's going to be more of a receiver, if anything.
James Robinson or Travis?
Travis.
Okay.
I think Travis is going to be, I hate to keep saying this, but as an Eckler type.
Hey.
I mean,
he's a prototype.
He's a prototype of Eckler. Which, for me, late round, I can see him being picked by me because, like I said, I'm not a big guy to go up and get big time running backs. I just feel like running backs to me come a dime a dozen because a lot of teams use running backs. But outside of JT, Henry, your big guys, everybody else is kind of like equal in a sense.
I get you now. Because I was about to call you to the floor. But yeah, I get what you're saying. You mean after those head guys?
Yeah, after those head guys.
Because like you said, so many guys, so many NFL teams now use this running back by committee thing. So yeah, if you don't have one of those headliners, then after that,
you pretty much you can grab whatever you think is best for your situation or how you see teams going to use them. I mean, because the big four, in like most people's eyes, are JT, Henry, CMC, and Eckler. So that alone would kind of have you say, after that, you kind of play it however you want to play it. He's one of the guys I can see me picking up saying, you know what, if I can get just a little bit from him to pair with my second running back or whatever, how you want to do it, I think it worked for you because he probably can give you the same numbers as those guys combined from running and passing, if that makes sense. So, I mean, to me, I like Travis out of this list. I like Cam Akers.
Yeah.
But my only issue I have with Cam Akers is
a lot of mouths to feed.
It's a lot of mouths to feed, right. And they're a passing team. They're not a running team at all. I just think he could get lost in that mix a little bit. I don't like Melvin Gordon. Even though he did have 900 and some yards last year, he did good. But I just feel like he's going to take a step back, honestly. A.J. Dillon is one I love. Yeah. He's going to be big for Green Bay this year.
Yeah, he's going to, I'm on with you.
And I think Josh Jacobs got something to prove because they didn't pick up his 50 option. So
the Raiders don't do that.
I guess they don't.
The Raiders don't do it. They will use a running back in their rookie contract, and then they will let you go. That's why you see guys like I'm gonna think of his name because they don't give us time to fall in love with him. Who's the dude they drafted from Alabama? I can't think of his name right now. But huh?
Is he still in the league?
I think he ended up being backup somewhere. So I'm going to skip over him and say Latavius Murray was part of it. It was almost on the tip of my tongue. That is going to bother me. But the point being, we pick up guys for running backs, and then we let them pasture, set them out for other teams to pick up. So it's that I'm going to keep trying to think of his name because I'm not going to be able to get over it. But I think Josh Jacobs is a quality guy. He had an injury problem last year. I think it was his toe, if I remember correctly, something with his foot, which had him in and out a lot last year. But given the opportunity, he's a very reliable, I would say, second running back. who I also love on this list, and I think has the potential to play above where we probably have him listed, is Damian Harris. I had him on
Yes.
a couple of teams last year, and we know one thing for a fact: Bill
They're gonna
Belichick is not
um,
afraid to just run the ball and have his uh, have Mac Jones throw. What did he do? Like two passes
two
one
two
game we watched.
passes. He threw two passes. I think
through
we
two
ended up
passes.
we ended up watching that game. I think we was watching that game together.
Yeah.
And he threw two passes the
Yeah,
entire game.
it was a windy day, but still, that's like wow,
Yeah.
that's low. And for me, I'm usually a don't do Belichick running backs guy, but I think Damon Harris
It's
is
that guy
different.
for them.
That
Yeah.
guy, he last year had 929 yards on 188. I mean, on 202 carries, and he gave you a little bit out the backfield as well. So I think he is a guy that's he's on my radar.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to pick him up in a few places if I can.
Are you high on? I heard something today that they're saying Miles Sanders,
Yeah,
because of Jalen Hurts, who they have really high, by the way. That's a whole other topic. But uh, they have him, Miles Sanders, pretty high because
yeah.
of the fact he plays in the backfield with Jalen Hurts and the threat
He was
of
supposed
Jalen
to be
Hurts
a
running.
workhorse a year ago, right? That was the deal.
Yeah,
Get Miles Sanders because he doesn't have competition, and then we saw the year play out, and he had plenty of competition,
way too much.
way too much competition. So
They had Boykins. They just had
Gainwell,
a bunch of people back there.
it's like nah, I can't do it. Miles Sanders is a guy I get if he's there, but I can't in my mind fathom him being my first choice
Well, he wouldn't be
or
your
third
first choice. He
choice
would be
or
he'd be your
yeah,
third running back at
yeah,
best off this list.
yeah.
I'm Cordell Patterson is a shaky one for me
He
because
was a surprise last year.
he was, but are they really going to use him mainly at running back this year, or are they going to sprinkle him in like they did?
He
Like, how do you feel
the
like he's going to be
problem he
used?
was the number one running back for a few weeks,
Oh, for a
and
few weeks,
and
yes.
he was doing his thing, but he wore down. And I think we had this discussion the other day. Um, for me, I think he does more of that wide receiver kind of role. They have
Okay.
they we thought Mike Davis was going to be that dude last year.
Yeah,
We
so disappointing.
both fell for the okie doke, right? Uh,
Yes, oh my gosh.
but
Dude.
they also brought in Damian Williams this year in Atlanta, and I'm thinking he will be not quite the expectations we had for Mike Davis, but I think he's going to be the more reliable running back. With
Yeah,
the quote, can you see my quotes? He's
yeah.
going to be the more reliable running back, and they're going to use Cordero Patterson sort of as that slash kind of player. So I think Cordero Patterson is worth a pickup.
Mhm.
Last year he wasn't drafted at all in most leagues. I think he's definitely worth drafting, but I am not in any way expecting him to duplicate last year's performance. I mean, it was the only year of his entire career that he had that kind of production.
That's
So
true.
you got to show me twice. So
So are you Tony Pollard or Cordell Patterson?
hmm. We know Zeke is the dude, but I think there's enough love going around for Pollard. So
Okay.
if I have to pick between the two, I'm gonna go Pollard.
Yeah, I've been hearing good stuff about Pollard,
Yeah,
how they can use him. I think he can get a long look
yeah.
as far as getting extra plays on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he would benefit a lot this year, probably more than Cordell Patterson.
And it'd be interesting to see if they use Pollard on special teams like
I
they
think they
did last
will.
year. So
I,
if you have that as a possibility, I'm Pollard all day.
yeah, I think they will. Clyde Edwards, I just don't know what to make of this situation.
I think
I
Ronald Jones is
think
going to give him a problem.
it is, but I
Yeah.
feel like he's the better back though.
Oh yeah, he's definitely the better one.
I feel like Clyde Edwards is the better back. I feel like he deserves a chance
Mm-hmm.
in that offense. I think he can be special.
Yeah.
It's just between injury, first of all, you got to
Right.
stay healthy. Between that and the fact that just the way Kansas City play, you never know what direction the ball is going.
Talk.
So
We said a lot of mouths to feed with the Rams. There's no Tyreek Hill with the Chiefs this year, but they still got some mouths to feed. And one thing about Mahomes, he would get the ball around. The
Yeah.
allure for Clyde Edwards-Helaire is that he can be a receiver in this offense, and Andy Reid is a genius. Right?
But
They're gonna use all their weapons to the best of their abilities. I like Clyde, but yeah, like you said, it's kind of unpredictable in that.
yeah.
The only predictable guy is Travis Kelsey. He's getting the lion's share of work just because he's Travis Kelsey. But other than that, I like Alaire. I draft him, but yeah, he's another one of those. Eh,
Yeah. I
the
mean,
ceiling's not that high.
I,
I
I ain't
mean,
gonna. Now, I
what are we
will
in tier
say I'm
four?
not
So
gonna stay away
there's
from
not a
him.
high ceiling on any of the guys we're talking about.
Mm.
Probably.
Now these guys are more. I'm not even gonna say waiver wire pickups, but more of late round guys who you can plug in on a bye week, that type of thing if you need to. But I really don't see. I'm not going that high for him, but
Yeah.
that's totally up to most people. Tier five, tier
Yeah.
five.
Tier five, we got a split here.
Yes.
Sort of a 5A and a 5B.
Yeah.
So
So you
yeah.
want to go ahead and hit it?
I do the 5A guys. These
Okay.
are at this point, like you said, we kind of grasping for straw. These aren't high picks, so any production you get out of them is going to
It's
be
actually,
beneficial.
yeah.
So Michael Carter, who had a really good year as a rookie last year, but they drafted another running back, so we'll see how much that hurts his value. Naheem Hines is on the list. Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones, speaking of, we just mentioned J.D. McKissick, the counterpart to Antonio Gibson, and we've got James Robinson. We've mentioned quite a few of these guys already.
Yeah.
Um, is there some gold in these there
Yeah.
hills with those guys? Who do you
Michael
like?
Carter. I like
Michael
Michael
Carter.
Carter.
Yeah.
I think Michael Carter is gonna. I was like we was talking earlier in the
Mm-hmm.
week. You can't completely just not use him.
Yeah.
He's a
He was
really good
he was
running
really
back.
good last year.
You can't just say, "Oh, we got Brees Hall. We just not gonna use him." No, you have to use him. Even
Yeah.
on third down, you have to use him.
I
You have to
agree.
use him in the return game, in the slot. He can catch out the backfield. There's many
He can do a
ways
lot.
that he can be
Yeah.
used. You just don't throw him to the wolves and say, "Oh, we're not gonna use him anymore." I think that's kind of crazy, personally. I
Mm-hmm.
think out of everybody on this list, between him and James Robinson, um, they're trying to hype up Hines for some reason. I don't know why. Um, but they saying Hines is supposed to get a lot of work this
Yeah.
year. We'll see.
He
Not with JT there, but okay.
Here's my thing with Hines, and since we're in this tier, I'm gonna combine him and J.D. McKissick,
Yeah,
as sort of the same kind of guy, and our producer actually has had both of those players on her fantasy football squad, and so she can let you know that they're both capable of giving you big weeks.
yeah.
However, it's not consistent. And I guess that's not really a knock on a tier five player, but you just got to know it's gonna be feast or famine with these guys. So you kind of just hope at this point that you're getting them as a fill-in on a bye week,
Yeah.
and that's the week that they get a lot of action because they're both talented guys. They both catch out the backfield. But they're both playing behind guys who are going to have the lion's share of the carries, and they're both kind of like third down guys. So
Yeah.
you're not going to get reliable work from either one. But I can see the fascination with Naeem Hines, but yeah,
I can't
it's just the
because
fact
not.
of he's not going to be anywhere near a reliable source of fantasy football points.
Well, the only thing I think you get from him is
Mm-hmm.
return.
Yeah,
Because if he does return,
yeah,
obviously
you
if your
get that.
league counts that, you get return yards, punt return, kick return.
Yeah,
He may come in and run a little slot sometimes. So that's where you might get your points from. But if you're relying on him to get you actual rushing yards,
yeah.
And
That's not gonna happen a
touchdowns,
lot.
that's not going to happen.
No.
So, not even. Um, Kareem Hunt, I guess he's same situation. He's going to be in the same situation as usual in
Yeah.
Cleveland. Third down back, catch out the backfield. You can keep him on the bench because uh, if Chubb get hurt or something, then he slides into that as
Yeah.
a running back one. But other than that, Kareem Hunt is literally a third down
Yeah.
back who's not going to give you no more than 10, 12 points just from catching,
I,
you know.
the one fascinating or fascinating is probably not the right word. The one potential source of interest for me, I told you the other day, is there's always the chance that Kareem Hunt isn't playing for Cleveland the entire season. There's some rumors out there that they could try to
Yeah.
move him because they have the opportunity to give him an extension, like you were mentioning with Josh Jacobs, that they haven't done yet. So one or two things. Maybe he stays on the team, and because he needs the extension, he ends up having a monster year. Or
Yeah.
secondarily, he gets moved somewhere else and becomes the number one guy. In which case, Kareem Hunt is a guy I might take the flyer out and try to pull him in on the squad and see if I get lucky.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, I think he's still in the same situation as
yeah,
far as like he's been in the last
yeah. For
couple
now,
years.
that's the
Yeah.
case. So
J.D. McKisson is another one. That's he's probably the biggest thing out of this group, the biggest one out of this group, who could possibly steal a bigger role
mm,
in the offense out of all these running backs because we already talked about it.
yeah,
Gibson, they trying to split the load. Is McKissick the guy to take it from him? Because we've seen that, but
yeah.
he's not that big of a guy to be carrying the load 20 times a game.
No.
So he could be a third down back, maybe a kick returner. Again, all these guys, except for Ronald Jones and James
Yeah, I
Robinson.
was gonna say maybe James Robinson has a chance to have
Yeah,
a really big role. I got to see
they
what happens with this Jacksonville because we know the disaster that was Jacksonville last year. I
yeah.
reckon they won't be that, but perhaps that there's a big role for Robinson. Um, but it's hard to say. Travis Etienne is going to have the advantage he's going to have is he's healthy now, so he's going to get a
Yes.
lot of the offseason work. And James Robinson's expected to play this season of the full season, but he's going to miss a lot of this offseason stuff. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
definitely.
But
Um,
I like Robinson at this point. I might
I
grab
like
him.
Robinson too. I might take a fly on Robinson to be honest with you.
Oh yeah,
The way they talking, they saying three down backish. He might
yeah.
be. He's gonna get his. I'm telling you, Travis. I think he's gonna be more of a guy that splits out to the
Mm,
slot and catch out the backfield. He gonna get carries obviously, but I think he's gonna be more of a guy. It's gonna be a 50-50 split if anything between those two.
yeah, I could see that. Sort of like Melvin Gordon and James Rob and Jamal
Jamal,
Williams was last year.
yeah.
I could see something like that happening with those guys.
So we got a half tier, which is pretty much these guys are handcuffed with
All
each
right.
other. You got Devin
Javon,
Singletary, yeah, Javante
yeah,
Williams.
Javante Williams. I just realized I said it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. Um, Devin Singletary and James Cook. So we're gonna go down the list.
Yeah,
Um, who you going? Which one? Because you got a handcuff on both, but which one has a better season in your mind?
between Devin Singletary and James Cook,
Yes.
I don't like either one of them
He
especially.
said,
I'm
I
not.
don't like, Lord.
We saw Devin Singletary have a really good rookie year, and then they drafted Zach Moss right last year, and
Yeah.
the rumor was Zach Moss was going to take over, and that didn't work out, and so they went back to the well, and this year brought in James Cook. Uh, so hey, James Cook has some good DNA. that makes you
That's definitely
that
true.
makes you think, hey, he could be a star, but I don't see it happening this year. I'm more excited for James Cook in my dynasty league than I am in a redraft league. Because for me, until I see differently, I'm not trusting a Buffalo Bills running back because we both know who is gonna swipe all the rushing touchdowns.
Yes.
Josh Allen's
Some
gonna
guy
suck
named
the air out the
Yeah,
building,
some
which is
guy
why
named Josh Allen. He's gonna take up
that's why
all
we
the
both
touch.
have him very high in our quarterback rankings because
Yeah.
I'm not interested. But if I have to pick between the two, I guess I go with Devin Singletary because much like a roach, they can't get rid of him, despite the fact they keep drafting new running backs. So if I gotta pick one, I'm gonna go Singletary for this year and this year only.
uh, Singletary is weird. He's just a
Yeah,
weird guy. The way he starts off is really bad,
yeah,
and then he get. I ain't even gonna say hot. He get lukewarm.
yeah. But even in
It,
his rookie year, that's when he got lukewarm. It wasn't at the beginning of the year.
it's
It
the
was,
at
it was,
the
yeah.
end. He gets really.
Is
He
he Joe
gets
Mixon light?
yes, but just less talent. I mean, he's
Right.
less talented than Joe Mixon, so
And
he
smaller.
starts. He gets. I mean, he gets good near the end.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. He never does it in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
I just don't know what the problem is. He had a really good rookie
Yeah.
year. I want to remember,
Yeah, he did.
but
But it
that
wasn't
second
the whole
year,
year. Yeah. Second year.
oh gosh, the second year was terrible. Because I drafted him and I was like, yo, he about to be good, and he stuck up the field. I was like,
Yeah.
this is terrible. I'm going Cook, man. I think
Yeah.
Cook steals that job early, at week 3, week 4, because Singletary starts slow, and I think Cook will come in and take advantage of that. And he gonna steal it from him and gonna hold it for the rest of the year. Personally,
All I can say is go back and listen to all the people talk Zach Moss out there.
Zach Moss ain't no better though. Zach Moss is worse
He was
than both
terrible.
of them.
Exactly. But my point was, everyone's like, Devin Singletary is done. It's going to be Zach Moss season. And so I'm like,
No,
we'll
not
see. I,
even.
I just think it's a tough spot for a running back because they have so many design runs for Josh Allen. Because it works. But I think it's a tough spot. And unlike the Ravens, they're not committed to almost exclusively run the ball. So I think it's just a hard place. So I don't know if anyone gets a hot early start in that offense other than
I,
Josh Allen.
I guess.
So
Rashad Penny,
how
Ken, huh?
how many
Ken
years have you
Walker
been waiting for?
the
Rashad
third.
Penny has been about to explode like ever since he came in the league,
That's true. That
and
is definitely true.
we're
But
still
hold up,
waiting.
hold up, hold up, hold up. He did. The last 3 to 4 weeks of last year,
The 3 to 4 weeks he wasn't hurt.
he wasn't hurt.
Right.
He was on one of my championship teams.
Oh,
He
word.
did really well
Uh,
for me in that last game of the year where I needed him.
Hey, that's all that
I'm just
matters.
saying that's all that matters here. I mean, can he kind of
Well,
continue that? We
I,
don't
I,
know.
I say this in defense of Rashad Penny. Their quarterbacks at this moment are going to be Geno Smith or Drew Lock.
Gosh, jeez.
So they're going to run the ball a lot.
Oh
I'm going to say
God.
either way. They're going to run.
That's not a good thing because
Right.
they may stack 8 in the box and just make him
Right.
throw. I mean, come on, man. Ah, oh my
Ooh,
God.
that's
That is bad.
that is
I didn't think
awful.
about that. That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
Jeez,
but
they got it. That's a bad situation. I'm staying away from both of them. That,
if I had to pick between that one, I'd say I'll probably go Ken Walker first, just because he's not Rashad Penny, so he doesn't have an injury history that I can look back to. So I'm gonna say, let's try the rookie at this point. But I actually in this grouping, and we had a small talk about this, possibly overlooked guy is Marlon Mack because this not. There's not a lot in the cupboards with the Texans. We saw Davis Mills look respectable.
yes,
In his rookie season, but there's not a lot there to work with. So I think Marlon Mack, that Marlon Mack Damian Pierce combination could be a bit interesting. Um,
I like Marlon Mack. I
yeah,
think Marlon Mack is
Marlon,
actually going to be.
he had
If
a
you
1,000 yard
remember,
season like 2 years ago before he got
yeah, that's what
hurt.
I'm about to say.
So
Marlon
yeah,
Mack had 1,000 yard season. He's not a slouch of a running
they
back
don't have the
personally.
offensive line in Texas that he had with the Colts, but he's not a slouch. I'm with you.
He can catch out the
Yeah,
backfield and he can run. I mean, I like Marlon Mack. To
yeah,
me, Marlon Mack is a sleeper
yeah,
running back this year for me. I think he's gonna, and I feel like he got something to prove, if that makes sense,
yeah.
because he's been doubted so much, and the way he left out in Indy, which I mean, you lost your job to JT, so you can't
So
really be that mad. So,
exactly.
um, but he probably feels some type of disrespect,
Yeah,
and he probably got a little chip on his shoulder saying, "Hey, since y'all gonna do me like that, I'm gone, bro. Like I'm gonna prove to y'all that I'm still good." So let's keep it at that.
yeah,
I like Marlon Mack. I'm not even thinking about the other guy, to be honest with you. I think Marlon Mack, this is his backfield
yeah.
to lose, and if he doesn't, then it's on him.
We
Now
got.
the
Oh, yeah, go.
biggest one for me is this: it's the Miami backfield.
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't know
I'm
what to
not
do with
touching
that.
it. I ain't touching it. I don't want no parts of it. Chase Edmonds is all right. Raheem Mustard can't stay healthy. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. You should know.
I definitely do know he can't stay healthy. So I don't know. That Miami one is terrible, bro. I'll stay away from it.
I'm a big Chase Edmonds guy. At least I was a year ago. With Tua,
Gosh, Tua.
I don't know. I don't know. I can see another situation, much like we talked about with well, name the guy, the Lamar Jacksons or the Josh Allens or the Jalen
Yeah,
Hurts. When your
yeah.
quarterback has the potential to be your leading rusher, to me, I'm like, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, and what we don't know what's going to happen with the new coach in place,
Mm.
but we Miami's backfield was a mess all of last year because you just didn't know who you could rely on, and I feel the same way. I'm not gonna get excited about either of those guys, and also not excited about what's happening in Atlanta. We've got two guys there.
Oh
We
gosh.
mentioned before, Cordero Patterson probably does a lot of wide receiver stuffs, whether he's listed as a running back or wide receiver, but am I gonna get excited about Damian Williams or Tyler
No,
Agili?
no.
Nah.
I'm not.
I'm not excited about it. Atlanta's gonna be so god awful this year.
I'm trying to see
Yeah.
who. I think Cordell is still the running back. I mean, he's
I'm
probably the
not.
better running back out of the two.
Yeah.
Damian Williams did have a run,
He was on that Super Bowl
Super Bowl
Chiefs
one.
team.
Yeah, he had a run.
He had a
So
run.
that playoff run was really good, by the
Really,
way.
really good. The best of his
Um,
career.
yes. So can he at least kind of do a little bit of that? I just think that whole Atlanta's offense, the line is terrible.
They are.
I mean, you're not gonna get much out of that,
You're
but
not.
I ain't look these guys. I'm telling you like man, I ain't dropping nobody else, nobody except Marlon Mack off this list. Quarterback,
There's
boy,
not a lot to get excited about at this point. Like, there's more excitement in this tier for Dynasty to me,
yeah,
only because there's some rookies in this tier
Kenny
that probably
Walker,
gonna be terrible this year. But in the long haul, you might say, "Hey, I drafted Kenny Walker the third before he
yeah.
was cool."
Now
Yeah,
Marlon Mack, Cook, I think that's it, man.
yeah. That's not. There's nothing here.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And
I'm trying to
no,
just think about
you
what could
can't.
because I know what Miami's getting in a coach
Yeah,
because he used to be an offensive coordinator, and I know the type of offense he probably is gonna
right.
run, and the fact that they have two good receivers and a really good
They have
tight
two
end.
phenomenal. I can't wait to talk wide receivers in a couple of weeks.
Um,
Yeah.
I think the running game should be good
No.
because nobody really can stack eight in the box to say, "Oh, we're gonna make you throw
Yeah.
the ball," because you don't want that. I think, but I just can't trust anybody because you don't know which one is going to be for that week.
I guess to your point, here's the if you want to find some reason for excitement, the 49ers had a pretty good running game, and it really didn't matter who the guy was because except for
Yeah,
Trey Sermon last year, anybody could go back there and have a beast of a season. So
but the
maybe
thing
there's
is,
some
if
excitement
you're
there.
looking at
Yeah,
because they're gonna run, I feel like they're gonna run the same scheme
yeah,
in a sense there, which is that blocking scheme where it's they pull the guards, they pull the tackles, going
yeah,
left, going right. I feel like Raheem must have fixed that better than any of those running backs there
yeah.
because of the speed aspect. But I don't know if his biggest problem is health.
Health, yeah, like you said
Um,
before. Will he be on the field?
yeah, Chase
Yeah,
Edmonds. I just don't know, man. I don't know which one. And then we still ain't talking about two other running backs that they got. To
yeah,
be
yeah.
honest with you, so it can be any of those guys, for real, for real. So we'll see. I don't know. That's
Well,
it. Stay
what?
away from them. To be honest with you.
Hey, there's a reason some guys don't get drafted, and then you pick them up after week one as a free agent, and no risk there. But if you
Yeah.
think that tier was bad,
Oh gosh,
hey,
this
here we
one's
go.
worse. Oh my
We'll
god.
skip past this group and go to these are guys that is technically tier six, but this is literally your free agent pickups. Pick them up
Ooh.
maybe as a handcuff if you get the starter. We got Gus Edwards in Baltimore, Daryl Henderson with the Rams, Alexander Madison, everybody's favorite handcuff, because Dalvin Cook is reliably going to miss like 3 weeks. Ramondre Stevenson, who had a pretty decent rookie year, at least some decent weeks.
Yeah.
And then Jamal Williams in Detroit. Yeah, for me, these are all guys you're just grabbing these if you want to protect. You want some insurance in case your starter, because each one of these guys, except for maybe I'd say Ramondre Stevenson's case, you're probably going to go a maybe second round pick at worst to grab the starter, and so you want to really make sure you cover that. I don't think either one of us are really big fans of handcuffing, but that's really what I see these guys being. You only grab an Alexander Madison if you have Dalvin Cook, or you just are one of those believers that Dalvin Cook's going to get injured, and it's Alexander Madison time. Last year he did not. Most of the time when you did that with Alexander Madison, you were disappointed. Last year he paid some dividends, so maybe.
I mean, Henderson could be a guy because
Yeah.
Cam Akers could get. I mean, not, and I'm not wishing injury on nobody, but Cam Akers did get hurt.
There's some history there.
He got
Right.
some history of being hurt. So
Yeah.
Henderson is a guy. Gus Edwards, I don't know. It's just that whole Baltimore. I feel like
Right.
J.K. Dobbins is the guy.
Yeah.
I really, 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 really think he's the guy. Now, do you think Baltimore won't run somebody else? They sure will.
They will.
I mean, because they don't mind running 3, 4 running backs. I just feel like they gotta settle on one. J.K. Dobbins is your
J.K.
guy.
should be that dude. I mean,
Yes.
he lost all of last year, but so did Gus Edwards. Last year was just not a running back's dream in Baltimore because no one could stay healthy. But I'm with you. I think J.K. probably runs away with that one. So, yeah.
I just this list is
This
tough.
These guys, whatever. Like I
Yeah.
said, these are all free agent guys that you pick up if you need them. But they're
Well,
the most interesting free agent guys. So we'll see what happens with them.
well, I think it's a good list we put together.
Oh
Obviously your top five. I,
yeah,
except Eckler. I mean, except
no,
McCaffrey.
except for McCaffrey.
Except
You're hating
McCaffrey.
on my man McCaffrey. For good
I
reason.
don't like McCaffrey on this one. So McCaffrey is not going to be on
Yeah.
my radar this year. But you more than happy to draft him if he's available to you.
Hey,
I'm not touching
this could
it,
be
so
the year pays off. So
I guess and it could be the year where he's gonna strike you again and get hurt. So you
Nah.
you play that one if you want to.
If I have to bet on one of them, then that'd be the way I go. But
Okay.
let us know in the comments, or just hit us up on our social media. Let us know what you think of the tiers for running backs this year. Oops, I'm messing up. Let us know what you think, and if you think we left off somebody, I can't see who we could have left off,
Exactly.
but if you think there's somebody that needs more shine than we gave them, feel free to let us know.
Let us know, and if you disagree, hey, let us know. We will get back with you and let you know. But hey, you know what it is. We're here. We can go on where
Yes,
it's
indeed.
getting close, y'all. It's getting close. It is definitely getting
Less than
close.
80 days till kickoff for the
Oh my
season. So
gosh.
yeah, this,
August 1st is gonna be a special day for both of us. If
yes,
you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's gonna be real. So
yeah.
definitely until we meet again,
All
we'll
right.
see you around.
Peace out.